Imagine a room filled with people, with laughter, with the clinking of glasses. The dim light makes everyone more beautiful, more mysterious. You're here, and you've made an effort. The perfect dress, not too provocative, but elegant. Hair that took 40 minutes to style. An easy, effortless smile you rehearsed. You are the very embodiment of everything is fine, and he's here. He's laughing, telling a story to a circle of mutual acquaintances. And you wait. Not that you're desperately waiting. No, you're above that. But somewhere in the pit of your stomach, where all our honest, raw desires live, a tight, cold knot of anticipation forms. You're waiting for his gaze. That one, the special one. A look that will single you out from the crowd, that will say without words, I see you, you. And then his eyes scan the room. For a second, they touch you, and then slide past, indifferently, politely, empty. They stop. They freeze. And you follow that invisible line, that thread of his attention, and it leads you to her, the other one. She's standing by the window, and everything about her is a little too much. Her laugh is too loud, making people turn their heads. Her hair is too messy, as if she'd just been dancing in the rain. Her neckline is too deep, or her gaze is too bold. She isn't trying to be convenient. She isn't scanning the room for approval. She just is. She drinks her wine as if it's an elixir of life, not just a drink at a party. She's arguing with someone, gesticulating, and there's no stiffness in her movements, only pure, untamed energy. She is a living fire in this room full of smoldering embers, and he's looking at her, not just looking. He's drinking her in. He's drawn to her like a plant to the sun, like a moth to a flame. And you, in your perfect dress, you suddenly feel invisible, transparent. You become part of the decor, a well-chosen piece of the furniture. And the cold knot in your stomach turns into a block of ice that sends a pang of pain straight to your heart. There it is, the question that's beating in your temple like a trapped bird. Why is he drawn to her? To that bad one, the wrong one, the inconvenient one? And with you, so loyal, so understanding, so diligent, with you, he's bored. What does she have that you don't? What secret language does she know? What key does she use to open that door in his soul that you can't even find? Stop looking for the answer outside of yourself. In her, in him, the answer is much closer and at the same time, much deeper. It's hidden inside you. Behind a door, you locked yourself. Many years ago, after writing danger on it, because he isn't drawn to her badness. He is instinctively drawn to her wholeness, to the fact that she wasn't afraid of her own darkness. She didn't banish her demons, she taught them how to dance. This story is the key to your own locked door. It's a journey deep inside yourself to awaken that very dark side, which is, in reality, the inexhaustible source of your life force, your authenticity, and your magnetism. This is the story of how to stop being a good girl and finally become a woman who captures his imagination because she first learned to capture her own. Let's go back, way back, to a time when you didn't know the rules yet. Remember yourself as a little girl. Remember that feeling of omnipotence. The world was your playground. Your emotions were a force of nature. Anger was pure, fiery. It flared up and died, down without leaving a poisonous residue of guilt. Joy was all-consuming. You would laugh until you got the hiccups, until your stomach ached, without caring what it looked like to others. Curiosity was your compass. It led you into dusty attics, overgrown gardens, forbidden zones. You were a creature of instinct, of impulse, of pure, unfiltered energy. You were authentic. And then the upbringing began. The great process of domesticating. A wild animal. The voices of adults, like 1,000 tiny chisels, began to chip away and what was unnecessary. Don't scream, you're a girl. Don't be angry, be nicer. Give in, be a good girl. Girls should be modest and neat. Don't argue with your elders. Every such phrase was a lesson that some parts of you are acceptable and deserving of love, while others are shameful, wrong, and must be hidden. Your kindness, your gentleness, your caring nature, your obedience, that's the light side. It was praised, encouraged. You got candy and approving smiles for it. You quickly learned to be loved, you have to be like that. Convenient thought, and what happened to the other parts? To your righteous anger when your boundaries were crossed? To your healthy aggression, necessary to protect what's yours? To your willfulness and thirst for independence? To your budding, boisterous sensuality? To your ability to be sharp, to say no, to put yourself first? All of it was branded as bad, selfish, unfeminine. It became your dark side, and you, like a diligent student wanting to get the highest grade love and acceptance, began a great internal cleansing. You gathered all these inconvenient, but so very alive parts of your personality, your power, your spice, your wildness, your unpredictability, and you took them to the deepest, darkest basement of your soul. You locked them in there, put a padlock on the door, and threw away the key. You decided that without them, your life would be simpler, brighter, and safer. You built a beautiful, bright house on top of that basement. A perfect facade, always clean, cozy, a hot dinner always on the table. You became a master of smoothing over rough edges. You learned to anticipate the wishes of others before they even voiced them. You became the ideal daughter, the ideal friend, the ideal wife. You became a work of art, polished to a high shine, smooth, flawless, and lifeless, because the price you paid for this perfection was monstrous. By locking away your darkness, you turned off the tap to your life force, your vitality, your fire. You gave yourself an emotional lobotomy. Your inner river, once raging and full, turned into a stagnant, swampy lake. And in that sludge of predictability and propriety, your mystery drowned. Your enigma. Your depth dot, you became flat, two-dimensional. Read from cover to cover. And then the day comes when you look at your life and feel an all-consuming, gray, viscous boredom. It's not even pain. It's the absence of feeling. As if the world has lost its color, food has lost its taste, and music has lost its melody. You live like an automaton, performing a set of social functions. And the scariest part is, you realize you've become boring to yourself. Tell me, how can you light a fire in someone else if your own inner hearth has long gone out and is covered in ash? But energy does not disappear without a trace. The power you locked in the basement didn't go anywhere. It's there. It's alive. It has mutated. It has grown feral from long confinement. And it's trying to get through to you. How? It comes to you in your dreams. You dream of wolves, panthers, wild birds. You dream that you're flying, or running through a forest at night, or swimming in dark, deep water. This is your soul sending you images of the freedom and primal nature it longs for. When you wake up, you feel the taste of that freedom on your lips for a moment, and then the gray haze of everyday life envelops you again. It breaks out in the form of uncontrollable emotional explosions. For weeks, months, you bottle up irritation, resentment, unsaid no's. You smile sweetly when a colleague dumps their work on you yet again. You nod when your partner makes a decision for both of you. You stay silent when your mother-in-law gives unsolicited advice. You store up this poison, covering it with the lid of goodness. And then one day, an unwashed cup in the sink becomes the last straw. A volcano erupts from you. You scream, you cry, you say horrible, hurtful things. And in that moment, you don't even recognize yourself. You look at yourself from the outside with horror and disgust. Who is that? That's not me. I'm not like that. And then a wave of monstrous shame washes over you, and you shut the door to your basement even tighter, vowing to yourself never to let that monster out again. It manifests as a sharp, burning envy. You see a woman like the one at the party, confident, free, maybe even brazen, and a wave of irrational hatred rises up inside you. Show off, bitch. Look at her. But if you're honest with yourself, you'll realize you don't hate her. You're envious. You envy her courage, her permission to be herself, to be loud, to be seen, to be inconvenient. She is living out the parts of her personality that you yourself took away and buried alive. She is a living reminder of your own self-betrayal. And you're afraid. With your entire being, you're afraid of what's locked inside. You're afraid that if you open that door, chaos will consume your orderly life. You're afraid you'll lose control, become bad, destroy your relationships, your family, your career, that you'll be judged, rejected, unloved. This fear is the strongest guard at the gates of your inner prison. Now let's go back to him and her. Let's look at her one more time, but this time through the lens of this new knowledge. What does he see in her? He doesn't see evil or vice. He sees life in its unfiltered, concentrated form. She isn't afraid of her anger. For her, it's not a shameful tantrum, but a signal that her boundaries have been violated. And she uses the energy of this anger to protect those boundaries, calmly, firmly, without apologies. Her no carries as much weight as her yes. And that commands respect. She isn't afraid of her spontaneity. She doesn't live by a plan, but by impulse. Her inner child isn't beaten down and scared. It's in the driver's seat, and sometimes takes the most unexpected, adventurous roads. She's unpredictable, which means she's never boring. She isn't afraid of her sensuality. Her sexuality is not a commodity she trades for love and security. It's her own personal asset. It's an energy that permeates everything she does, how she eats, how she dances, how she looks at someone. She enjoys her body, her femininity, and it's this enjoyment, not a need for approval, that makes her magnetic. She isn't afraid of being alone. This is her trump card. Her world doesn't shrink down to one person. She has her own universe of friends, her hobbies, her work, her dreams. She doesn't cling to a man like a drowning person to a straw. She invites him into her world, but she doesn't make him the center of it. And this self-sufficiency, this lack of neediness, is maddening. It makes him want to become a part of her universe, not just be it. She is whole. She has both light and shadow, both tenderness and fury, both kindness and healthy selfishness. She is not a flat icon, but a three-dimensional living sculpture with all its roughness and curves. And when a man, any man, encounters such wholeness, he subconsciously feels that he too can be more authentic around her. She doesn't demand that he be a perfect prince, because she herself is not a perfect princess. She invites him into the dance of life, not into a sterile operating room. She captures his imagination because she is living, not just functioning. And then comes the turning point. The moment when the pain of your own inner emptiness, of your invisibility, of this endless boredom becomes unbearable. It becomes stronger than your fear of what's hidden in the basement. You stand before that locked door, and you understand you can't go on like this anymore. Life is passing you by. Your life, you don't want to be convenient anymore. You want to be alive. You approach the door. Your hands are trembling. Your heart is pounding. You're not going to kick it down. You look for the key. And the key is your curiosity and your acceptance without judgment. You start small, with exploration, You start asking yourself questions. What am I really feeling right now? When you're overcome with irritation, you don't suppress it. You say to yourself, "Hello, anger. I see you. What do you want to tell me?" And it turns out, that anger isn't a monster, but a faithful watchdog that barks when someone enters your territory. You learn to listen to it and say no before it turns into rage. You start to allow yourself small improprieties. You buy that lingerie you always thought was too much and wear it under a conservative office suit. It's your little secret, your little spark of rebellion that warms you from the inside. You turn on music and dance in the middle of your living room, awkwardly, clumsily, but with a kind of rapture you haven't felt in years. You go to a cafe alone, order the biggest dessert, and eat it slowly, savoring every bite, without a single thought about calories or guilt. Every such step is like letting a ray of light into your dark basement. And you begin to make out who lives there. They aren't monsters. They are your exiled but powerful sub-personalities. You get to know your inner witch. She's not a wicked sorceress. She's your intuition, your wisdom, your ability to see the essence of things behind the words. She teaches you to trust your inner voice, which always knows what's good for you, and what's poisoned out. You meet your inner warrior. She gives you a steel spine, the strength to stand up for your beliefs, to defend your projects, to walk away from places where you aren't valued. She teaches you that being strong doesn't mean being masculine. It means having dignity. You free your inner wild woman, that same little girl who knows how to laugh until she cries, to run barefoot on the grass, and to say what she thinks. She brings play, spontaneity, and the joy of being back into your life. It's not always easy. Old habits are strong. Those around you, accustomed to your convenience, may be displeased. You've changed somehow. You've become selfish. They will try to drag you back into your cozy, predictable cage. There will be moments of doubt and fear, but you've already had a taste of freedom, a taste of the real you. And it's like a drug. You can no longer go back to your gray, tasteless reality. You continue on your path. You learn to integrate these new old parts of yourself. You understand that being whole doesn't mean always being wild and uncontrollable. It means having access to the full spectrum of your states and choosing the one that is appropriate for the moment. Sometimes you need to be soft and caring, and sometimes tough and unyielding. Sometimes a wise witch, and sometimes a carefree girl. And then comes the climax. It's not a loud event, but the quietest inner epiphany. One day you look in the mirror, and you see in your eyes not only light, but also shadow. You see your kindness and your fury, your tenderness and your strength, your vulnerability and your indestructibility. And you realize that all of it is beautiful. All of it is you. You stop fighting with yourself. You make peace with your darkness. And in that moment, a miracle happens. Your shadow, having received recognition and love, ceases to be a destructive force. It becomes your fuel, your most powerful resource, your source of charisma. You feel yourself piecing yourself together into a single, shining whole. The feeling is as if you've finally come home. And from that moment on, everything changes. Your energy changes. You no longer radiate a vibration of neediness and a desperate desire to be liked. You radiate the calm, deep confidence of a self-sufficient person. You no longer search for your center in another. Your center is within you. And he feels it on some animal, instinctive level. He looks at you and no longer sees a familiar, predictable landscape. He sees a bottomless, alluring ocean. A depth has appeared in your eyes in which one could drown. Inflections have appeared in your voice that send shivers down his spine. A freedom has appeared in your movements that both frightens and hypnotizes him. You've stopped being a safe, quiet harbor for him, you've become a thrilling adventure, a mystery he wants to solve endlessly, because you've become a mystery to yourself. You no longer live by others' rules. You create your own. You awakened your dark side not to manipulate him. You awakened it to reclaim your right to your own life. And his interest, his admiration, his suddenly awakened imagination, that's all just a side effect. A nice bonus. The main prize is you yourself. The new you. Whole. Alive. Free. A woman who is no longer afraid of either the light or the shadow. A woman who has learned to dance in the dark. And that dance is the most beautiful and thrilling sight in the universe.